Caitlin Clark never missed a game in high school. She never missed one in college. Then she reached the WNBA. And suddenly, one of basketball's most durable players found herself at the center of one controversy after another. Hard fouls, missed calls, viral clips, league reviews, and a debate that's now bigger than basketball itself. So what's really going on? Is Clark simply experiencing the kind of physical defense every superstar eventually faces? Or do the numbers, the video, and the reactions from players and analysts point to a deeper officiating problem? In this video, we're breaking down the full timeline, from her rookie season to the incidents that sparked national headlines, using game footage, public comments, league decisions, and verified facts. By the end, you'll have the full picture, and you can decide for yourself. Before we dive in, if you enjoy in-depth sports stories that go beyond the headlines, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We break down the biggest moments in basketball using game footage, verified reports, player interviews, and the facts that often get missed in the news cycle. If you like videos that separate the evidence from the opinions instead of just chasing viral clips, you're in the right place. Now let's rewind to where this entire controversy really began. Every superstar changes a league. Very few change it this fast. When Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA in 2024, she wasn't just another number 1 draft pick. She arrived after one of the most watched careers in women's college basketball history. Arenas began selling out. National TV ratings jumped. Road games were moved to larger venues because demand exceeded capacity. For many fans, Clark became their first reason to regularly watch the WNBA. That level of attention came with enormous expectations, but it also came with an entirely different level of scrutiny. Almost every hard foul involving Clark instantly became a viral clip. Every controversial no-call spread across social media within minutes. Every replay was slowed down, zoomed in, and debated by millions of fans. Then something interesting happened. The conversation stopped being only about basketball. Instead of asking whether a particular play deserved a foul, people started asking a much bigger question. Was the league doing enough to protect its players? And were officials calling games consistently? That debate reached another level after the Fever's game against the Connecticut Sun in June 2026. A sequence involving Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark wasn't ruled a flagrant foul during the game. But after the league reviewed the play, it upgraded the contact to a flagrant 2 and suspended Thomas for 1 game. For many fans, that post-game decision became the turning point. If a review determined the play deserved the most serious in-game penalty short of disqualification, why wasn't it called correctly in real time? Supporters argued it was another example of inconsistent officiating involving Clark. Others pushed back, saying basketball is an incredibly fast game, officials don't have the benefit of slow-motion replay in real time, and difficult calls happen throughout every season. Those two viewpoints collided across sports television, podcasts, and social media. Former players weighed in. National broadcasters offered their opinions. Journalists questioned league officiating. Fans on both sides argued over every frame of video. And suddenly, one play had become part of a much larger discussion about physical play, player safety, officiating standards, and the future of a league experiencing unprecedented growth. To understand why this one moment sparked such a massive reaction, we have to go back to the very beginning. Because according to both supporters and critics, this story didn't start in 2026. It started during Caitlin Clark's very first weeks in the WNBA. To understand why one play in 2026 sparked so much outrage, we have to rewind to the beginning. Because the controversy didn't appear overnight. It built piece by piece. May 2024, welcome to the WNBA. Caitlin Clark entered the league carrying more attention than almost any rookie in WNBA history. Every arena was packed. Every game was on national television. And every opponent knew stopping Clark meant slowing down the league's newest superstar. The basketball itself was physical from the opening weeks. Early in the season, Clark took several hard hits to the head during a game against the Seattle Storm, and fans questioned whether enough contact was being called consistently. Those moments didn't dominate national headlines at the time, but they planted the first seeds of a debate that would continue for years. Then came the play almost everyone remembers. June 1, 2024, the Chindi Carter body check. Late in a game against the Chicago Sky, play had stopped. Clark was waiting for the inbound pass. Then, completely away from the basketball, Chindi Carter delivered a hard shoulder-to-body hit that knocked Clark to the floor. The officials initially ruled it an away from the play common foul. But the reaction was immediate. The clip exploded across social media. The following day, the WNBA reviewed the play and upgraded it to a flagrant 1, acknowledging it met the standard for a more serious penalty. That one sequence changed everything. From that point forward, every hard foul involving Clark was viewed through a much larger lens. The rest of 2024. As the rookie season continued, physical play remained a regular topic of discussion. There were games against Chicago that featured heavy contact. There was a shoulder collision involving Alyssa Thomas that sparked debate over whether it deserved further review. Then, during the playoffs, Clark took contact near the face that left her playing through visible discomfort. Fans argued it should have been called differently, while others viewed it as part of postseason basketball. Every incident added another clip to an already growing collection. By the end of her rookie season, the conversation had shifted. People were no longer asking whether one individual foul was dirty. They were asking whether officiating across the league was consistent. 2025, the debate gets louder. Clark entered her second season no longer as a rookie, but as one of the biggest names in professional basketball. That meant every game attracted even more attention. Several nationally televised matchups featured physical defensive play that quickly became viral talking points. Supporters argued Clark absorbed repeated hard contact without receiving the same whistle other stars might expect. Others pushed back, saying elite guards throughout basketball history have always faced physical defense, and that Clark was simply experiencing what comes with becoming the focal point of every scouting report. The debate became less about individual players and more about officiating itself. Every controversial replay was dissected online. Every slow-motion angle produced a new argument. Every missed whistle became another headline. June 2026, the turning point. Then came the moment that transformed an ongoing basketball discussion into a national story. Indiana Fever vs. Phoenix Mercury. During a loose ball scramble, Clark went to the floor while battling for possession. As players collided, Alyssa Thomas made contact with Clark's throat during the sequence. Officials allowed play to continue without calling a foul. That decision lasted less than 24 hours. After reviewing the video, the WNBA upgraded the play to a flagrant 2, suspended Thomas for 1 game, and fined her for what the league described as reckless, non-basketball contact. The post-game ruling immediately shifted the conversation. Some fans argued it confirmed officials had missed an obvious call. Others, including some former players, said the incident looked worse in slow motion than it did at game speed and cautioned against assuming malicious intent. But one thing was no longer up for debate. The discussion had grown far beyond a single foul. It had become a league-wide conversation about player safety, officiating standards, replay reviews, and how the WNBA should handle physical play as its audience continues to grow. And that's where the numbers begin telling their own story. At this point, it's easy to get caught up in viral clips. But let's step back for a second. Because highlight videos can be emotional. The numbers give us a different perspective. Let's start with the stat that's been shared more than almost any other. According to data compiled by independent basketball stat trackers, Caitlin Clark has drawn flagrant fouls at one of the highest rates in the league since entering the WNBA. Through mid-2026, she had been on the receiving end of 9 flagrant fouls in roughly 72 career games, about 1 every 8 games. That's an unusually high rate compared with many established stars, although the exact comparisons depend on the data source and time period analyzed. Now, one statistic alone doesn't prove intent. A high flagrant foul rate doesn't automatically mean officials are treating one player differently. But it does explain why so many fans started paying closer attention. Then there's Clark's durability. Before turning professional, she was remarkably healthy. She never missed a game during her 4-year career at Iowa and built a reputation for being one of basketball's toughest competitors. Since joining the WNBA, however, she's dealt with multiple injuries, including quad, groin, ankle, and back issues, that have forced her to miss time for the first time in her career. Of course, injuries happen in professional sports. The WNBA season is longer. Players are stronger. The game is more physical. No one can say every injury came from illegal contact. But the timing has fueled an ongoing debate among fans about whether repeated physical play has contributed to those setbacks. Then we get to the business side of the story. And this is where the numbers become impossible to ignore. When Clark missed games with a quad injury during the 2025 season, national WNBA television audiences dropped sharply. According to Nielsen data reported by USA Today, nationally televised WNBA games were down 55%, while nationally televised Indiana Fever games dropped from about 1.81 million viewers to roughly 847,000 viewers during her absence. Those figures highlight something important. Whether you're a longtime WNBA fan or someone who only started watching recently, Caitlin Clark has become one of the league's biggest television draws. That's not an opinion. The audience data consistently shows Fever games attract some of the largest viewership numbers in the league, particularly when Clark is on the floor. Now, does that mean she deserves a different whistle? No. The rules should be applied equally to every player. But it does raise another question. If your biggest stars are involved in repeated officiating controversies, what does that do to the league's image? Even critics of the "Clark is being targeted" narrative have acknowledged that officiating has become part of the conversation. UConn coach Gino Orema argued that hard fouls are simply part of what elite players experience, and cautioned against turning every incident into a larger conspiracy. At the same time, he acknowledged that Clark's impact has brought unprecedented attention and unprecedented scrutiny to every game she plays. And that's really the heart of this debate. One side sees a pattern. The other sees the normal physicality that comes with guarding a generational player. What almost everyone agrees on, however, is this. The spotlight on WNBA officiating has never been brighter. And once coaches, players, broadcasters, and national media all start asking the same questions, the league can't simply pretend the conversation doesn't exist. Because the next part of this story isn't about statistics. It's about what the people closest to the game have actually said. After years of debates, after countless viral clips, and after another major incident forced the league to review a play after the game, the biggest question isn't what happened. It's what happens next. Because almost everyone agrees on one thing. Nobody wants games decided by controversy. Whether you believe Caitlin Clark has been officiated differently, or you think this is simply the reality of professional basketball, most fans want the same outcome: consistent officiating, safer play, and fewer headlines about missed calls. So what could actually change? The first proposal has come directly from Clark herself. When reporters asked how the league could improve, she didn't ask for special treatment. She didn't call for rule changes. Instead, she pointed to the officials. Clark said the WNBA should continue investing in officiating, pay referees like full-time professionals, improve training, and explore better technology to help officials make more accurate decisions. That's a practical solution. Because officiating is one of the hardest jobs in sports. Everything happens in real time. Officials have fractions of a second to judge speed, angle, intent, and contact. They're human. Mistakes will happen. The question is, can those mistakes happen less often? Another idea involves technology. Professional sports around the world have increasingly embraced instant replay and video review to correct critical mistakes. The NBA has expanded replay in certain situations. Tennis uses electronic line calling. Soccer introduced VAR. No system is perfect. But each was created for the same reason: to reduce obvious errors in the biggest moments. Could the WNBA eventually expand replay for potential flagrant fouls or dangerous contact? It's certainly a conversation that's becoming louder. Then there's accountability. Today, WNBA teams can submit plays to the league office for review after games. But fans rarely see what happens next. Some analysts have suggested greater transparency, explaining controversial decisions publicly, releasing more information about reviews, or expanding post-game officiating reports. The goal wouldn't be to embarrass referees. It would be to build trust. Because fans are far more likely to accept a difficult decision when they understand how it was made. And finally, there's player safety. This isn't just about one superstar. Every player deserves to compete in an environment where dangerous contact is called consistently, regardless of their jersey, their popularity, or the score. That's ultimately what this debate has become. Not whether basketball should be physical. Everyone expects that. The real question is where the line should be, and whether that line is being enforced the same way every night. The WNBA has never had more attention than it has today. Attendance has grown. Television audiences have expanded. New fans are discovering the league every week. With that growth comes greater expectations. Fans expect elite basketball. Players expect consistency. And the league now has an opportunity to strengthen both. Because if this controversy leads to better officiating, improved technology, and greater confidence in the game, then something positive may come out of one of the most debated stories in recent WNBA history. So where does all of this leave us? The answer probably depends on who you ask. Some fans believe Caitlin Clark is being officiated differently than other players. Others believe she's simply experiencing the kind of physical defense every superstar eventually faces. Reasonable people can disagree. But here's what's hard to argue with. Caitlin Clark has changed the WNBA. She helped bring millions of new viewers to the league. Road arenas have sold out. Television ratings have reached levels the league hadn't seen in years. Whether you're a Clark fan or not, that's good for women's basketball. At the same time, the league has found itself facing more scrutiny than ever before. Every controversial whistle is now dissected online. Every replay is slowed down. Every missed call becomes a national conversation. That's the price, and the opportunity, that comes with rapid growth. The good news? This conversation isn't just about one player anymore. It's about making the game better for everyone. If the league continues investing in officials, improves replay technology, creates greater transparency, and protects every player with consistent officiating, the winners won't just be Caitlin Clark or the Indiana Fever. The winners will be every player who steps onto a WNBA court. Because at the end of the day, fans don't tune in hoping to talk about referees. They tune in to watch incredible athletes compete at the highest level. And that's exactly where the focus should be. Now we want to hear from you. What's your take? Do you think the officiating controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark has been overblown? Or do you believe the league still has serious work to do when it comes to consistency and player safety? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more fact-based breakdowns of the biggest stories in basketball, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.